What's up, guys? I'm Caden with Crypto Now or Never, and welcome back to another update on Oscar. If you enjoy this style of content, please do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. As always, none of this is financial advice. Let's get into it.
I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want.
Okay, so it's actually been a few weeks since I last covered Oscar, and as you can see, it's currently sitting at a $1.66 million market cap. To be honest with you, not a whole lot has changed since my last Oscar video. The main reason I haven't covered it super recently is just because it's still consolidating, and the reality is that is most of the crypto market right now. If you look at the crypto market as a whole, you can see that Bitcoin is back to 114,000, Ethereum is 4,138, and in general, a lot of these high caps are actually doing pretty well right now. For example, if you click on Ethereum, you can see that Ethereum broke its all-time high about a month ago, a little bit over at this point, but it's down 16.3% from its all-time high. If you look at something like BNB is only down 6.3% from its all-time high 10 days ago. However, the lower and lower that you go, the more and more blood that you see. For example, if you click on something like SWI is still down 39% from its all-time high 9 months ago. Okay, you click on something like Hedera Hashgraph. Hedera is down 62.2% from its all-time high 4 years ago. And now if you come over here and you look at meme coins, it's even worse. You're seeing a lot of blood in the meme coin market. Dogecoin, for example, is still down 68% from its all-time high. You click on something like Pepe. Pepe is down 67% from its all-time high. So as I've said in pretty much all of my recent videos, I know everyone just wants to see a massive explosion from their conviction plays right now, but the reality is that most of the market is not pumping. You just have to understand that. The important thing right now is to have conviction in your plays. If you come over here and you look at the Oscar X account, I love to see that they are still grinding every single day. Oscar's not your typical project that's posting just a little bit of artwork once a day. They're getting new exchange listings, they're doing collaborations, they're doing giveaways, stuff like that every single day. Not to mention they're doing a lot of good charity work. And if you guys are not already in the Oscar Telegram, I heavily recommend joining it. I think you guys will be just as impressed as I am. Oscar has a phenomenal team and they have a diehard community. I'll be honest, there are larger communities than Oscar, but the community that Oscar does have has extremely high conviction. I'm telling you, they're in there every single day. So for those of you guys who are still asking me whether or not I'm bullish on Oscar, the answer is yes. This is a project that for me, nothing has changed. I'm still very bullish on this project. We just have not seen meme coins running recently. At the moment, it's only high caps. So that being said, I do want to go over some high cap technical analysis. So when you look at Bitcoin on the weekly time frame, you'll notice that we actually held above the 21 weekly moving average. I've been talking about how we had this initial breakout and then price action came down and it retested the 21 weekly. And we had a perfect bounce off of the 21 weekly. However, last candle started to break beneath it. You can see that this candle actually pushed up before the close. So we still closed above the 21 weekly. That is very bullish to see. In addition, you'll notice that the stochastics are very oversold at this point. To be honest with you, this could end up aligning for Pumptober, which I know a lot of people are hoping for. Now, to be clear, oftentimes when everyone thinks something's going to happen, it makes me skeptical. And the other thing that you have to remember is that a lot of the time what people refer to as Pumptober doesn't usually start until the middle of October or the end of October. But again, in this case, Bitcoin does look pretty good from a technical analysis standpoint. Now, when we look at Ethereum, Ethereum is very different than Bitcoin. You'll see that Ethereum on the weekly time frame has not retested the 21 weekly at all. We just saw that Bitcoin's retested it several times. Now, I will say Ethereum is still holding above this range that I've had drawn for a long time. I've been saying that I would love to see Ethereum hold that 4,100 to 3,800 range. I think that would be a textbook support and resistance flip. Previous resistance would now become support. So if Ethereum can hold this range, I think that'll be very bullish for altcoins. Now, do understand there is definitely a chance that it does lose this and it comes down to the 21 weekly. Either way, that would still be a support and resistance flip. I think Ethereum looks very good on the weekly time frame. And I also want to show you guys the daily time frame. So I've shown you guys this time frame in my last several videos. The reason I think the daily is interesting is because there are two different Class A bullish divergences. You can see that price action is swinging up into a higher low and the RSI is swinging down into a lower low. And then the exact same thing right here, up into a higher low, down into a lower low. That is two different Class A bullish divergences. And oftentimes a bullish divergence can signal a local bottom. Now, you could argue that this bounce is already happening right now. So what I'm watching on Ethereum's daily time frame is to see if we can get back above the 21-day and the 50-day. If we can reclaim these levels, then I think that'll be bullish in the short term. But if we come up here and we see a bearish retest, then do expect more downside. And there's a good chance that the weekly time frame will just continue resetting a little bit. But the main thing that you just have to remember is that nothing runs forever in this market. There are always going to be pullbacks. So personally, I do not think there's any reason to panic. When you look at the crypto market as a whole, you can see that the fear and greed index was fearful. It's currently at 42, which is neutral, but just last week it was at 28, which was fearful. That to me is mind-blowing. Again, in my opinion, I do not think there's any reason to panic. People lose perspective so fast. It was only back in April that Ethereum was down at $1,380 a coin, and it's currently $4,100 after a pullback. That right there should tell you everything you need to know. So I know a lot of people are hoping for a bigger update for Oscar, but the reality is they're still grinding every single day. There's just not a whole lot that they can do in particular right now, but I do still believe in this project. But if you guys are interested in Oscar, market updates, and just getting into projects super early in general, then I always recommend you take a look at my Discord as well. As you guys know, we've been making huge multipliers this entire cycle. Some of these projects could have turned $1,000 into over $200,000. So if this is the kind of community that you'd like to be a part of, you can find the link right here on my YouTube homepage. I'd love to have you guys in here with us. That's about all. Let me know down in the comments how you guys are feeling about Oscar. If you enjoyed this content, please do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your day.